Hi friends, it's Deanna Willison with Our Blooming Catholic Life, and today's book selection is Light and Leaven, The Challenge of the Laity in the 21st Century by Bishop Joseph E. Strickland. Now, I bought this book back in the summer over my trip to Steubenville when we came home from our family funeralcation. You know, it was 2 funerals. Technically, I think we added in a third. And a family vacation to the old stomping grounds. And on the way home, we came through and got to stop at Steubenville. And so I grabbed this book mainly because I've heard of Bishop Strickland. I follow him on Twitter, but you can't really get to know somebody from Twitter and a few articles. And so I thought this book would help me to get to know him a little bit better, whether you love him or hate him, at least, get to know him. So what does it say on the back of the book? Bishop Joseph Strickland is one of the church's boldest and most courageous leaders. His outspoken support of Orthodox faith and morals, the sanctity of unborn life, and reforming Catholic institutions has made him a hero even to Catholics outside his Little East Texas diocese. In Light and Leaven, he offers a forthright perspective on the state of the church and the world today and calls on the lay faithful to meet its challenges unflinchingly. We must not shrink from the culture, he says, but be a light to it. We must not retreat from the world, but leaven it with grace and truth. In his direct and conversational manner, Bishop Strickland touches on a wide range of topics, including church renewal in a time of scandal, the central importance of the Eucharist, how to build strong marriages, the need for prayer and silence in a noisy and distracted age, and the battle between good and evil in which all Christians are engaged. He will inspire and edify you with his wise insights, pastoral common sense, and evident love for souls. So let's go in. This is more of an unboxing. I have not read it yet. Actually, the bag of things from Franciscan got set aside, and we just found it over Christmas, and I've been waiting until I was ready to open it for you. As soon as you open the jacket, you can see who the publisher is. It is Catholic Answers Press, and you can get to it by going to Catholic.com. There's a nice and easy title page there. Okay, then next title page. Always cracks me up when they have multiple title pages. It is from 2020, written by the Most Reverend Bishop Joseph E. Strickland, all rights reserved, yada, 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 you know the rest. Printed in the USA, cover and interior by Russell Graphic Design. And it is dedicated to my flock in the Diocese of Tyler. Well, there's this light today. There's the contents page. That's pretty straightforward. It's a little awkward though, right? But that's it. The foreword, the invocation, section 1 is light, section 2 is leaven, and then there's about the author. That's what's weird. I would not have put those Roman numerals where they are, or maybe a bigger gap between, move these things up and this guy down and have a gap here. Because otherwise these just don't make any sense. Where did they come from? And like, oh. Can't have a number 1 without a number 2, but having just 1 and 2 is a little awkward. I see how they try to do it, but again, I would have included a gap here and a gap after it on either end. That would make more sense to me. Let's see. So it is a small book. Oh, I didn't hold it up. So here is like my Dewey Rhymes Bible. It is a little bit smaller all around, really, right? Just a little bit though. Let's see here. Here's St. Francis of Assisi Sermon on the Mount. Again, smaller all around. Oh, because that's the same size as the Bible. Let's look at the Catechism of the Council of Trent. Again, good bit shorter than that one. What about the Breviary? I'm just trying to show you with a book that you may know. So it's closest probably to the Breviary because that's including the case. It's probably closest inside to the 4-volume Breviary. Let me move these guys back out of the way so I have a little bit of room to move. Let's read some of the foreword. By the early years of the 21st century, I'll hold it like this. It was clear that the Catholic Church had been afflicted with bad bishops. Some were bad men without question. They stole money. They lived decadently. They partied and engaged in loose sexual lives. He is not giving you any room here. He's like, let's do this. I admire that. He's being really upfront. And they abused others in ways that suggest they could not have possibly believed in the God of the Gospels. Many more were good men who were just bad at being bishops. This may be because they misunderstood their moment. A new model for the modern office of bishop was needed because entirely new challenges had emerged, but these bishops were, in far too many cases, corporate men, allergic to innovation or bold action. They may have made fine professors or pastors had they never been elevated to the office of bishop, but having been elevated, they failed. They failed to act as spiritual fathers to their own priests. They failed as administrators. In the face of a worldwide revolution in morals, they failed to teach right and wrong as it had been taught since the time of the apostles. They allowed the liturgy to be trivialized. They allowed every kind of compromise with the world to infect the institutions in their charge. And they apparently thought they were doing a good job because they kept teaching as if the thing the whole world needed was more documents from them. The sheer volume of written instruction composed by Catholic bishops of the world the last 2 decades of the 20th century is almost beyond comprehension. Millions of words poured out, primarily published through state and national bishops' conferences. Most of these documents were given scripturish-sounding titles, as if the bishops were handing them down from angelic realms. Here are just a few of the titles from the U.S. bishops in the 80s and 90s. Strangers no longer, a place at the table, welcoming the stranger among us, a commitment to all generations, living the gospel of life, called to global solidarity. I'm not going to read all of them, friends. You can read them. Certainly, the content of some of these documents was fine. A few even made a positive difference in their time, but most of this material was and remains ignored. I'm not going to go further. You can certainly see where he's going. This is lovely and upfront. And just because somebody makes an awesome priest doesn't mean he's a good professor. So just because somebody's a good professor doesn't mean he's a good administrator. It's really tough to find a bishop that's all the things they need to be. It's just not that easy. Or he has to find people under him who are good in those things in which he's lacking. And that even is a skill. We talk about that over here in our Handbook for Secular Servant Leadership, which I did a review on and erased because they're making a new one. But I might go ahead and do the review because a lot of us have this old book and it might be good just to point out some points about it. And hey, maybe even though I'm not on the committee, maybe the committee will hear my suggestions. So it was difficult. He's acknowledging that it was a difficult time. Some people were bad and some people were just inept at what they were given to do, which is fair enough. You can definitely see it's a conversational tone. You can see he's not mincing words. He's giving you his exact opinion. Let's look at the first section on light. First century Christians in a modern world. People lament there's no longer a Christendom. But you know, Christendom wasn't exactly heaven on earth. The church doesn't have worldly powers any longer, and I don't think that's a bad thing. So it has to be nuanced, this idea that we're living in a post-Christian world that's so much worse than it was in the past. In some ways, we're more similar to Christians living in the Roman Empire of the first century than to those other eras throughout the centuries. It's almost like we're starting over in the face of intense opposition with the original mission of the church to bring the message of Jesus Christ to every corner of the earth. You can see, friends, this is so captivating. I may just stop this and go and read it because I really want to hear what he has to say. This is like talking to a friend. This is like talking to a true spiritual father. It's very engaging. I'm hoping there's as much meat and substance as we get in as it sounds like there will be. Oh, page 82, how to fix catechesis. Woohoo! What? Very curious, aren't you? Let's just sneak a peek at a little bit. I'm one of the products of decades of intentional watering down of catechesis. Tell it, brother. The Baltimore Catechism was laughed at, just a lot of silly memorization, though I think people are rediscovering now that there's a lot of wisdom in memorizing some things to make them a part of who you are. It was all thrown out, caught in a wave of catechetical and educational theories that appeared in the 60s and that the church rashly adopted. Just make the children feel cozy and embraced and warm, and they'll sort of soak up the truth later, the idea went. Yes, coloring pictures of Jesus by the priest washer and dryer. That's what I did. That's exactly it. It didn't work, and it led to a spirit of relativism that made all ideas, all acts, all lifestyles equal to each other. There was no longer real truth or sin. In that case, why stay Catholic? Many catechists were volunteers just trying to do their best, of course. They had faith and they wanted to teach, but the materials and the mandate they were given were vacuous. They weren't instructed, or in some cases allowed to say anything meaty about the faith. And you would be surprised how much even young children can understand without dumbing down. Certainly you use language that's appropriate to their level of education, no 10-syllable words, but even with basic language you can communicate and have them grasp a very significant theological truth. I am so encouraged by this, friends. I'm going to go curl up and read this. This is captivating. Antidote to Racism is on page 155. Like all these little subheadings, they weren't on the title page and they should have been. They're captivating. ad orientem, ad deum. Ah! Okay, I have to read this. Whether you agree with him or not, he's going to lay it out bare and bold exactly what he thinks. And it does sound like you're having a conversation with a spiritual brother or father. Lovely. I can't wait to read it. I don't know about you. Oh, how many pages is it? I told you the size of the book. So how many pages overall? Let's just say that. The about the author is just one page. So it's 176. I don't see any footnotes or endnotes. This is just a sitting down and read it kind of book. Lovely. I like it. God bless you, friends. Bye.